Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hi.
And Emilia Clarke is making comic books now.
Because who isn't?
Because who isn't? Because, you know, this is what celebrities, they play around with comics, right?
Yeah.
And her comic is about a single mom who menstruates and apparently has
her secret weapon is her period?
Yeah.
I thought my secret weapon. That's my, that's
how you defeat Twitter. For 5 days, I am so powerful.
I was gonna say, you know, I'm always bleeding. No,
what's your secret? I'm always bleeding. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about Emilia Clarke dipping a female hygiene product into comic books.
There you go.
This is, you know, I wish I could be shocked, but I'm not shocked because we've seen this before. This is not unique. I'm sorry, Emilia Clarke, maybe you should read more comic books. But she talks about her experiences going to a comic shop, and of course, you know, the man babies were mocking her in the comic shop, so she's going to show them by coming up with a woman who ragged.
That's her payback. Now listen, I understand, and I do believe completely that there are sometimes girls going to comic shops and that's the reaction they get. But I've been to many comic shops that was not the reaction. I know a lot of other girls have gone to comic shops and there's women who run comic shops.
That is true.
So, I mean, it depends on there's a lot of them out there now that I don't think anybody looks twice when a girl walks in. So I'm not sure when this happened, but I do believe that it probably did. It's just that for example, if I go somewhere and like if I go to a comic shop and I'm stared at by guys and they treat me like garbage, my takeaway isn't, I'll show you, I'll go make a comic book about periods that won't sell. That'll learn them.
That'll teach them. And the sad thing is, this isn't unique. This is coming from Image Comics. Image Comics has already done Menzies, not Mensa.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not Mensa.
Definitely not Mensa, but Menzies Comics, and they've gotten some backlash for that too. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 194,000 subs.
Woohoo!
We do publish comics occasionally, and none of them.
This is not in them.
Nobody's ragging it.
Amazingly enough, you can have a strong female character, and you don't have to make it about a period. Hard to believe. In current times, I know.
Why is this? Why is everybody so fascinated? So we're simultaneously fascinated with women having periods, that we have to put it in comics, but we're also
not allowed to say women have periods.
You're not allowed to say women have periods, according to J.K. Rowling. So I'm like, which is it?
She wasn't saying that. Other people were saying that, and she was responding to it.
Yes, she said there's a word for people who have periods.
Yes. I'm just saying it's like it's this double standard. You see it all the time. Like we saw it with women should be allowed to wear what they want to wear, and they shouldn't be sexualized for wearing what they want to wear. Coupled with the same people, we had to fully cover her from neck to ankle so she wasn't sexualized. And it's like, would you make up your damn mind? You know, that's kind of here. But I'm sorry, most people don't want to read a comic book. This ranks up there with that article from Teen Vogue where you could do witchcraft with your period blood.
Oh my God. I'm a guy.
Okay, then I'll handle this. Let's go.
Yeah, you can handle it.
I don't know the story, so you.
Okay, I'll read and you can provide commentary. Now, before we get into Emilia Clarke's menstruation comic book, right? I just want to point out that speaking of Image, look what actually sells. Spawn Universe set sales milestone for Image Comics.
Also a lot of blood, just not that kind of blood.
Right.
So blood sells, just not that kind of blood.
It's where the blood's coming from. Oh my God, blood's sexist. It's misogynist.
Oh my God, that's what we're going to do.
But now Spawn is actually a black man. He looks like Hamburger now, but he is a black man. So that is progressive. Mm-hmm. He gets points for that.
But he doesn't count because he doesn't have a period, and he isn't using it to fight evil.
He doesn't count because he doesn't have skin anymore because it got all burnt off. He's kind of crispy. Anyway, 211,000 copies for June 2021 of Spawn's Universe.
Wow.
That's pretty good for
it's a comic that's actually competing with manga.
Yeah, right. So there we go. That's where faces belong.
I told you. I've been telling you.
Right there.
I see. It's not just me.
We need a character with their head down below. just to
Hordak,
toss.
or he does.
He does. He puts his own face on all of his minions.
That's how you know that you're truly, truly narcissistic and egocentric and you know, a real badass. You put your own face on your crotch.
Yeah, right? Like, I am so badass.
You don't have to have ribs removed or anything. It's all good.
My face is down below, and it's up here, but eyes up here when you're talking to me. Anyway, Emilia Clarke's debut comic, coming from Variety, follows a single mom whose secret weapon is her period.
It makes me cringe.
As a kid in London, Emilia Clarke got a distinct vibe from her local...
as a kid. So maybe, you know, like, okay, maybe back then.
Back in the day. She's younger than we are, though, so...
I mean, it used to happen a lot more, I think, back in the day, but...
She got a distinct vibe from her local comic shop, No Girls Allowed. The Emmy nominee and lead of Game of Thrones was therefore doomed to spend her adolescence reading hand-me-down comics from her older brother and meeting Cape Crusaders on the big screen. I read a lot of fantasy novels full of rich worlds as a child. Why isn't she doing that then? Like Lord of the Rings. That was always the place my imagination would gravitate toward.
I like her for that.
Later on, when I went to Comic-Con for the first time at 22 with Game of Thrones, I was amazed what I saw, almost entirely men.
Where did you go to Comic-Con?
What Comic-Con?
Because you're talking this like a few years ago.
What?
We've been going to Comic-Cons longer than Game of Thrones has been on, and that is not the case.
Later, as tides turned in the industry and Me Too emerged...
This is not what happened!
I began to look at the community through those eyes, and it was arresting.
That is not what happened. I have been going to conventions since I met Neon. And now back, like, we're talking...
2000, maybe?
Yeah, I can see it. Because I went to the convention with him, and I made the mistake of... I was dressing up for him, and I wore platform shoes and a short skirt and a tighter shirt.
Yeah, it worked.
I looked awesome.
You did look awesome.
And, yeah, and unfortunately, people thought I was a booth babe. And there were some girls around, but there were very few girls. There were either booth babes or there was a couple girls that were running around like in jeans and flannels and stuff. But most of the women there weren't any. Because I remember thinking, well, this is weird. And now a couple of years later, we went back with friends, and that was not the case. You started seeing a lot more girls. Now, we've been doing conventions like a lot since what, 2010?
Oh, before that, I think we started probably 2008, 2009.
And I can guarantee you, from at least then on, it has not been the case.
No. So
I want to know what convention she went to, because I can't think of any convention that Comic-Con. Went to Comic-Con, so San Diego.
Yeah, but San Diego.
There's no way that's true.
San Diego is actually one of San Diego, New York.
So they're more diverse conventions.
They are. They always have been.
So that's not true.
I mean, God, a lot of the awards, the conventions are actually run by women.
I'm not trying to be a dick here. I mean,
I believe so.
You're is it Emilia or whatever? You're not. That's not. I don't buy this. I've been going to conventions. You just showed up, to look at Game of Thrones. I've been doing it before you were doing this, and that's not the case. I'm calling your bullshit. Heck, we went to one. When did we go to Baltimore? Was that like
2011?
2011? And they were not only women there, they were coming around and painted on costumes.
Yeah, I know, right?
There were tons of women.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to ogle them.
And not just that, there are a ton of women creators and comic artists.
There's a
lot of female creators that are at conventions behind the table as well. I know a whole bunch of them, and they've been going for longer than I have.
I would say Artist Alley at least was half
female.
At least half female.
And then, and I mean, you got a lot of cosplayers and stuff too, and there's a lot of women that cosplay. And so this is, I'm calling bullshit on this.
Well, just wait. It gets better.
Okay, I'm going to have comments.
So Clarke started dreaming about what a comic book might look like from her perspective.
When I dream about a comic book, it's not about periods.
A notion that quickly gained steam. She recruited an all-female creative team.
For diversity.
Yep, and made a comic featuring what is undoubtedly one of the most progressive female heroes in the genre. I want to reiterate. Chelsea Kane did this, right, where it was about women who got periods and they turned into monsters.
There were comic books they said like, it was a while back, and the woman's power was she shot blood or something?
That was Eric Larson. Yeah, I saw some people tweeting that. Eric Larson had a super villain.
I think Aaron was tweeting about it.
Yeah, Aaron Sparrow was tweeting about it. And Eric Larson had a villain, I think, in Savage Dragon that she was quite large and she shot period blood all over.
And if you shot that much blood, you'd die. Anyway.
You would die. Oh my God.
But I love the diverse and progressive all-female team.
I know. They tried to cancel Chelsea Kane for Maneaters because it was sexist and istophobic because it was just natural born women who menstruated and it was exclusionary as transphobic. But this is okay because she's a celebrity, I guess. Mom, Mother of Madness, will publish in July from Image Comics, co-written by Clarke. Co-written. Oh, this is a movie pitch. This is a Netflix pitch.
Who's going to watch this? I don't care. Netflix, you picked this up. Come on. This is worse than Cuties.
Co-written by Clarke and Marguerite Bennett. Bombshells, Josie and the Pussycats.
With Josie and the Pussycats, when they actually were, not all, when they actually had diversity and they're not all one type person.
Emphasis on the pussy. With art from Leila Lees. I don't know. Here's Clarke again. In doing my research, I found that 16% of comic book creators are female.
There's a lot more than that now, especially now.
Go to Japan. Just hop on a plane, Emilia. Go to Japan, please. Please go to Japan, because you're going to find that the numbers are, and even comic strip are there. Okay.
Wait. During my research, I found that 16% of comic book creators are female. And according to a 2019 study, only 30% of comic book characters are women.
What? Are we talking? No, if we're talking strictly superhero comics, that might be the case. But if you're talking the entirety of comics, even indie stuff, especially stuff that Image publishes, I do not believe that is the case. And you look at manga especially, that is definitely not the case. You look at European comics, that is definitely not the case. So if you're just looking at superheroes, maybe. But this is ridiculous. On the other hand, she says roughly half of comic book buyers are female. Because...
Yeah, they'll want to roll that in. I can guarantee you, comic book buyers that are female, they're referring to people that are buying books that are not just superhero books.
She's about 10 years late to the party. She's like, come on. Something did not sit right with me in that exchange, and all these signs were telling me to go make my own. Again, this just sounds like an ill-conceived Netflix pitch to me, because it sounds like I did some very cursory market research. My agent, who doesn't read comic books, sent me this think piece on Vox. And now I'm going to do this. I'm going to co-write. I'm going to co-write with some other people, and then we're going to pitch it to Netflix.
I don't know, but let's continue. I got to hear the plot for this.
Mom is centered on Maya, a busy single parent whose life is upended by the discovery of superpowers. She's a single mom, and she's got to get shit done.
Well, you got me there.
This was born from the idea that single moms are superheroes.
Well, I believe you on that. I think single dads, too.
You need superhuman strength to do that. When you get into your 30s and your friends start having kids, you're like, oh my God, I was not aware of what it took. Holy shit. Well, at least
I agree. Single parents have,
And okay, so that sounds pretty cool, right? Then we get to this nugget. Another key identifier for the character is that all of her superpowers manifest from her menstrual cycle.
This came from that diverse writer's room.
The bloating, the hair growth, the mood swings, the acne, all of it. We hate that when it happens. Speaking for myself and everyone I've ever met who has had a period. What if we turned that around and made the period something we can feel as this unique, crazy, superhuman thing that happens to our body? When Maya is scared, she goes invisible. When she's angry, she has superhuman strength. She can swing like Spider-Man from her armpit hair.
What? This only happens when she has her period? So for 5 days a month, she can swing from buildings with her pit hair.
Oh my God.
I can't wait to see what she can do with her other hair.
Oh God. This is going to outsell...
Choked a man to death once.
This is going to outsell Spawn, for sure. This is going to outsell Spawn. Through both lenses, Clarke and her creative team sought to lionize the single mom.
I agree with lionizing the single mom.
Whose media depiction is usually one of struggle, sadness, and efforts to rebalance her life with a male partner. When it comes to menses, the actor thinks it's way past time that we normalize something that over half the world population experiences. In upcoming editions of the 3-part comic miniseries, Maya utilizes inflated boobs to help thwart a human trafficking ring.
I don't think guys would argue with that maneuver.
Don't leer at her. She's so ashamed of her powers at the start, it's mental. Even today, if your tampon falls out of your bag, it's embarrassing.
Oh, let me tell you a story.
Oh,
okay, so a couple things. But the story I'm going to tell was about when I was in high school. 9th grade, awkward 9th grade years. You remember what that's like. So I had a bunch of pads in my backpack. Or was it my locker? I had someplace. I had a bunch of them.
Someplace.
Because I was just going to leave like a bunch there. I either had it in my backpack, I was putting in my locker, or I think it was in my locker. And I had them there because, that way I had them if I needed them, right? And it all flew out all over the hallway. He fell out all over the place. And a whole bunch of seniors, guys, came over and helped me pick him up, which was very nice of them. But the time when you're an awkward 9th grade girl, it's probably not a good thing to have a bunch of senior boys, good-looking senior boys, pick up your pads and hand them back to you. But they were very nice about it.
As long as it stopped there?
It stopped there.
Okay.
I crawled into a corner and died, and I still feel weird about it to this day. But anyway.
I would be a little... probably other people would be weirded out if all my tampons fell out all over the place. They would have questions. Anyway, she's ashamed of her powers. Though it's topical themes and raunchy humor, the publisher describes the tone of the series as Deadpool meets Fleabag comedy.
Okay.
Even though they lend themselves to film.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
Clarke's ambition was not to create a vehicle for the screen, rather an artifact she can enjoy on my deathbed.
No, that's not what this is about. She must have got called out about it already.
She's already ticked the box on comic book adaptations, having joined the cast of Marvel Studios' anticipated Secret Invasion.
Who hasn't joined the cast of that?
Everybody. Yeah. So they're talking about Marvel, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. Yeah. Okay. So there we go, guys. Hollywood writes comics, and usually 9 times out of 10, those comics are effing terrible. When Hollywood gets involved, and I'm sorry, I don't believe her. I think this is a Netflix pitch. It's a 3-issue limited series.
I can't believe all your life experiences, and you want to make single moms, like lioness single moms, to prove how they deal with stuff and how they're not just like all pitiful and everything else. And your way of proving that is to make a character whose superpowers, including Spider-Man like armpit hair, comes from her period. Because you're trying to normalize periods. I'm like, we're going to get canceled anyway, because when you do that, you're not allowed to.
Yeah, again.
So what about the single moms who don't have periods?
Chelsea King, I think for Man-Eaters, if I remember correctly, they even had a launch party where they had a tampon cake. Which
and they had tampon something.
It looked really effing disgusting. I guess that was the point. And she got blasted for being transphobic because it was only biological women that were menstruating in her comic, and that wasn't progressive enough. And I guess she had to
right, because
and all that. Yeah.
So this is good. This is not going to maybe go the way she thinks, but I'm just like, as somebody who has the time of the month, and a lot of you listeners are women, and have the time of the month, or are been around people who do that. It is miserable. It is awful.
Yes, it is.
It is not fun.
No, it is.
And I don't care swinging from I don't. And also, have you ever had an armpit hair pulled? Have you ever waxed your pits? Would you want to use your armpit hair as Spider-Man and swing from that or throw? It hurts. I'm like, who's thinking this through? I'm like, really? And I can't.
If we can have a children's cartoon, where a man in creepy ass pajamas can pick things up with his ding dong, we can have Emilia Clarke give us a menstruation comic book with prehensile armpit hair.
Now, at the end of the day, if it makes her happy and that she felt that there was a need for this, and maybe there is, and it makes her happy and she created something new, go her. More power to her. I'm happy for her. I'm trying to figure out what the market is on this. But hey, she's going to be happy on her deathbed. So, at least she did something new. Oh, even at the end of the day, at least, it's not new.
It's
Never
not
mind.
new.
She didn't do anything new. But at least she did something that she thought that she wanted to see.
On Netflix.
By hiring a bunch of other people to do it for her.
On Netflix.
Yeah. I don't think this would get greenlit on Netflix.
Oh, God, it would get greenlit on Netflix. I have no doubt.
But if it does, you heard it here first, and and you thought they couldn't do worse than cuties. So,
all right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.